Welcome back to the farm. Today we are going to be opening this box. In this box is a solution to a problem. I'm constantly trying to balance things between work here on the farm and work at the job that currently supports what we want to do here at the farm. Like with the tractor ballast weight, Quail Hutch, the brooders, the chicken tractors, everything that I build here on the farm, there are pre-built or prefab solutions to that. The question I have to ask is it worth my time to invest that time in building something, or would it be better off invested in my business and then I spend money on something that's already built or ready to be built? I've determined that instead of building a breeder pen or a breeding hutch for my quail, we'd be better off buying one that's ready to put together and then just slapping this thing together. So inside this box here is a breeding hutch for our quail. So we're going to open this box up, put it together. I've checked out some reviews on this. It looks good from what I've seen. Some people I trust that have done a good job, and they've led us in the right direction before. We've decided in this instance we're going to go with something that they've recommended. Alright, I learned about a modification that you can make to these. Because these are 3 cages wide, 5 cages tall, you can make a modification so that one level connects between all the cages. You've got one of these that separates the first cage and the second cage, and another one that separates the second cage and the third cage. So if you cut right along here, you can cut a hole here so that all your cages connect, and that just gives you a little more room for your quail to run around in. So you don't want to go above this line or below this line right here, because that will compromise the structural integrity of the cage. So we're going to leave one row of these squares here around the whole thing, and we're only going to go back 8, go up here. So we're going to have 6 sections left at the back. We'll go ahead and make this first cut here. The reason I'm doing this before I put it together rather than after is because I can obviously access this with a power tool rather than having to do it by hand, which is going to make it a lot simpler. What that's left us with is an opening just like this in this sidewall, and that's all nice and smooth. I don't think I'm going to have to worry about, there's nothing that's going to cut the quail there, so that's really nice. And structural integrity of that is still pretty solid there. That's not going to be an issue whatsoever. I'm going to do this with 9 more to give us our 10. We've got 2 per section, 5 sections, so 10 total sidewalls. With an opening like this, our quail can move back and forth along the upper section. Just what this does, it gives them more room to move. Otherwise, these sections, they're about that narrow. So your quail are not going to have a lot of room to move around in there, back and forth from the back to the front a little bit, but now they're going to have a lot more room to move side to side and move throughout the sections. And our quail are used to living in a very long cage right now. It's 8+ feet long. To take them from that to one of these little narrow cages, it just doesn't feel like it's fair for them. Plus, these are our breeders. They're going to have a longer life. They deserve better living quarters. We'll get through the rest of these quick then. Okay, I made an oopsie. Unfortunately, the power tool is fast. You can also make mistakes really fast. So I cut this portion up here, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. It seems like this thing it's made out of ABS plastic. That's the same thing that the premium vacuum brands, Ricard and Miele, but the premium vacuum brands use ABS plastic, and those vacuums last 20+ years. So this is going to be, if taken care of properly, a 20+ year cage, even with that little cut there. But I could probably do something to stabilize that, to reinforce that if I needed to, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's solid. So we have 8 that have been modified. I'm going to keep one level unmodified, just so that in case we do need some smaller separate cages to separate some out, we got these. You never know, sometimes quail might be getting picked on, quarantined, isolated from everybody else. We are going to keep a couple sections extra, so we'll only be able to put 5 to 7 in there, depending on whether they're breeder or feeder, respectively. But at least we'll have that in case we need it. So here's our front, here's our back. Don't worry about the sides for now. Here's our bottom, here's our top. All right, so you want to look for arrows. You've got arrows on one side, not on the other. All right, so they don't snap in, but they go just like so. No arrows here. We need to see the arrows, one there, one there. That has to be facing out to the outside of the cage. And again, we've got one arrow there, and we've got 2 arrows on either side there. So we're going to snap this together. It was just a tough one. So sometimes you just have to be a little more firm. Tired, but I'm very pleased with how this went together. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't the hardest thing I've put together. There were a couple times where I got a little frustrated. The screws go in these holes, all the top holes. The screws go in this way, so it's not the nice finished part. There's an indent here in the frame. That's how they go. This whole thing doesn't flip around, and then you put the screws in from the other side. So that's one thing. The other thing that was a little difficult to figure out was where in the world these green strips went. They just clip onto the back of the feed trays. It's pretty easy to get them open. You just lift them up and the door swings out like so. The doors all came attached, so that was kind of nice. They didn't have to be attached. It looks like there's plenty of room for the eggs to roll out. I don't think we'll get any eggs stuck up there. I was looking up in there. Looks like there's plenty of room. So I'll probably give a much fuller review down the road after we've had some time to use this, experiment with it and whatnot. Okay, so it looks like the individual cages ended up on top. I didn't plan that. I wanted them either up top or down the bottom because this and the bottom one are going to be the least easy to access because we're going to have to, you're going to need to have a little step stool or something. This is just about 6 feet tall here. A short person would need a step stool to get up here or a ladder. And then if you have bad knees, this is going to be a little difficult to get down to this one. I'd say the least convenient one to get to some people is going to be this one up here. So good that we put this on the top because it'll be the least likely to be used. I don't know, we might end up using them all. So immediately after setting this up, the next day we went to put the water in there to test it because it would be a really bad thing to put all the quail in there, fill their food trays up, and then have a leak in the water. So I'm thankful we did that because right here, this one had a leak that was there was a seal that was broken right in here. This red part here is a T that connects into the white tube and then connects into these black tubes. It has 2 gaskets in here, and this is one of those gaskets. As you can see, it is broken. So I went over to Baumgart's, bought a whole kit of gaskets so that any time in the future, should I need another little gasket like this of any size, I've got them. I replaced the one broken gasket. It stopped leaking. It works perfect. So now that I've replaced that, we're getting water. We're now getting water, as you can see there, from the top all the way down to the bottom. And the bottom fills up first, because what it does is it runs down here, it goes all the way down, fills up all the way down to here, and then it starts to backfill this level, then this level, then this level, and finally this level. So what I found helps to speed up that process is you go down to the very bottom one. I'll use this one as an example. You go down to the very bottom one, you go all the way over to the end, and you're just gonna push up on that nipple, and that's gonna clear the air, allow air. You'll actually hear air escaping as you do that, and that's gonna clear it. Next step is we're gonna get the quail in there, and we're gonna fill it with feed, and they've already got the water. I'll probably top the water up. I think that holds 5 gallons. So we'll get the quail in there, we'll see how they like it, see how it works, and we'll get some feed in there and make sure that they're eating and everything, but I think it's gonna work out really well for us.